What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. So as you can tell by the title, today we're going to be talking about something that's pretty serious. Basically, CrossFit has been in the news. It's been everywhere. And I wanted to break down everything that's been going on just to give people kind of a rundown that might not be too familiar with CrossFit, because I can understand it can be quite confusing if you're on the outside looking in. Now, before we get into the controversy, I wanted to explain what CrossFit is and the way that it works for people that might not know. So CrossFit up here, right, is like a company. And then there's the brand CrossFit. And then there are CrossFit gyms or affiliates that you guys see in your communities, that you see around town. Now, the way CrossFit the brand or CrossFit the company makes money, a big part of it, is these gyms affiliating with them. So now how affiliation works is each of these gyms pays CrossFit the company $3,000 every single year. Now, what's really interesting about CrossFit is that a lot of these little gyms that are around town don't know the CEO. They don't know anyone up in HQ really that well. A lot of them have never even spoke to them. And I think that's really important as we're going to be moving forward. So as I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen recently, the CEO of CrossFit, Glassman, made some very insensitive, some would say racist tweets. And a lot of gyms have been de-affiliating or no longer being CrossFit gyms because of that. Now, I understand a lot of people have seen these tweets and they're like, it's not that big of a deal. I don't know why people are freaking out so much. Now, again, if you're outside looking in, that makes sense. But as someone that has been doing CrossFit for 4 years and has seen the adverse effects that Greg Glassman, the CEO, has had on CrossFit, I think there's a lot more context that a lot of people are missing. So I kind of want to explain a couple of the things leading up to this point as to why so many people are kind of just fed up with Greg Glassman. So as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, and a lot of you guys probably found CrossFit through the CrossFit Games. The CrossFit Games is a huge thing, and it has been a huge thing for CrossFit for a very, very long time. Now, something that a lot of people don't really understand is that CrossFit and the CrossFit Games are actually like two separate entities. So Dave Castro pretty much runs the CrossFit Games on his own, and Greg Glassman does CrossFit. But of course, the CrossFit Games is under CrossFit, so Greg Glassman, the CEO of CrossFit, can do anything he wants to the CrossFit Games. Now, the reason I'm explaining that is because a couple of years ago, Greg Glassman completely shifted up the CrossFit Games without really talking to anyone, and no one really knew what was going on. The athletes had no idea what was going on. It didn't even seem like Dave Castro knew what was going on. So he was making all of these decisions and completely changing up the games, changing up regionals, getting rid of them, all of this stuff. The thing is, no one could do anything because he is the CEO. He owns the whole company. So whatever he says goes. No one can challenge him. So there was that whole thing, changing up the games. Everyone was like, that was really weird. It seems like he has a little bit too much power. And then on top of that, a few years ago, he pretty much fired almost all of the staff at CrossFit HQ and completely changed up everything CrossFit was doing. They deleted all of their social media. Like, there was just a lot of stuff going on that a lot of people that do CrossFit, that go to these CrossFit gyms, and the owners of these CrossFit gyms were like, what is happening? And CrossFit was never letting anyone know. There was no communication from CrossFit, and it seems like from Greg Glassman, because it was like he was the only person working there anymore. He wasn't letting anyone know anything, so everyone was in the dark. And again, this has been happening time and time again over the past few years. Now, the one thing that anyone that does CrossFit, that follows CrossFit on any of their social media knows, they are very vocal about a lot of things. A lot of things that a lot of people are just like, I don't know why this is such a big deal to you. But if they have a thought, they will say it. They're not the most politically correct. They will always share their mind. That has been something that CrossFit has done for years, right? And they've been very vocal about the pandemic. They've been very vocal about a lot of things. Now, with the recent incident with George Floyd and the whole Black Lives Matter movement and everything that's been going on about equality, CrossFit has been very silent, to the point where it was almost deafening. It was very strange, as someone who's been doing CrossFit for 4 years now, seeing how they are always vocal about almost everything in the world that's going on. They were very silent about this issue. Now, on top of that, there has been a lot of talks for a few years now about how there's not much diversity in CrossFit or the CrossFit Games as well. There are not many people of color that compete at the games. There are not many people of color that go to gyms. Now, there's a good amount, but it's definitely more white people that are going to these gyms. So that is also a conversation that has been happening in the background as well. So now I want to get into the stuff that has recently been happening and why people are upset. So again, as I said, the silence has been deafening from CrossFit with not speaking out about Black Lives Matter or sharing their thoughts. So an affiliate owner, now this is someone that in their original email and in their posts, this is from Rocket, they used to be called Rocket CrossFit. They are now Rocket Community Fitness. They have been an affiliate for 10 years, right? So again, like I said, every single year they have paid $3,000. So that means this gym has paid CrossFit or Greg Glassman $30,000 over 10 years. It's a very, very long email, so I'm not going to get into their whole email. But basically, they were talking about how they are disappointed that CrossFit hasn't been speaking up about this issue because they're so vocal about other things and a bunch of other stuff. It's a very long email. I will put it down in the description. But the issue is how Greg Glassman responded to this woman that had sent the email. So I'm going to read this whole email and I'm going to use all the words that he used because I think it's important to get the context. So Greg responded and he says, Alyssa, I sincerely believe the quarantine has adversely impacted your mental health. I won't speak for Jeff Kane, who is also a big high up in CrossFit, but I can tell you that you are delusional in thinking that anyone, even for a second, thought you were the conscience of CrossFit. The very notion is cringeworthy. You think you're more virtuous than we are. It's disgusting. Your self-professed brand wizardry has been tolerated but never seen as actually thoughtful or effective, but certainly manipulative. You are doing your best to brand us as racist and you know it's bullshit. That makes you a really shitty person. Do you understand that? You've let your politics warp you into something that strikes me as wrong to the point of being evil. I am ashamed of you, Greg. Now, after this email was sent to Alyssa, she posted it on her used to be Rocket CrossFit. Now it's Rocket Community Fitness. And that kind of started stirring up some, people being upset and being like, man, this is like, you should not respond to someone like that in that way, if you're the CEO of a company. Now let's talk about the tweet that everyone has seen that a lot of people are kind of using as the reason they are de-affiliating and no longer being a part of CrossFit. So this tweet is from the Institute of Health Metrics and Evaluations, and they say, racism and discrimination are critical public health issues that demand an urgent response. # Black Lives Matter. Now, Greg Glassman responded to them and said, it's Floyd 19. So obviously using the death of George Floyd and putting that together with the current pandemic. And I don't even really know what he was trying to say there. But again, it was just a really poorly timed. I don't know if it was trying to be a joke. But yeah, so that is the tweet that a lot of people are referencing. Now, again, in my opinion, I can see why people will see that tweet and think, why are people really getting that mad about that tweet? But I really do think that the context is very important in this situation and understanding that normally CrossFit is very vocal about these issues. They haven't been vocal. And then Greg Glassman is going out of his way to make very stupid jokes that are very insensitive in a time that it's just probably not the best. Now, the next piece to the puzzle was actually an article that was written by Mike Young, who is a doctor, and he also owns a CrossFit gym. Now, again, this is a very long blog post, so I will link it down in the description if you want to read the whole thing, but I'm going to give you a little bit of kind of the highlights from this post. Now, the name of this post is called Why I Am Dumping CrossFit. So the article starts off saying, it all started with a Zoom call, but first a little about me. My name is Mike Young. I'm a sports scientist, educator, and performance coach. I own a sport performance and fitness business named Athletic Lab, and I have worked or consulted with several of the top professional teams around the world. I have also owned a CrossFit affiliate for 10 years. I have a vested interest in seeing the brand and organization of CrossFit succeeding. This is why it was a difficult decision to disassociate from the organization. I will not plan to renew our affiliate license. This decision will almost certainly come at a cost to my business. I no longer wish to associate with a company and CEO who are tone deaf and insensitive to our current national crisis and so willing to inflame racial divisions. So going on in the article, he kind of explains how he got into owning a CrossFit gym and all of that stuff. So recently, CrossFit, the CEO, and some of the people that work at CrossFit HQ have been doing a lot of Zoom calls with affiliate owners, so the owners of these gyms, and this is kind of where all of this took place. So Mike goes on to say in the article, so when I was invited to a Zoom call yesterday with Greg Glassman, the founder and CEO of CrossFit, I jumped at the chance. I squeezed the meeting into a busy Saturday for the opportunity to meet a guy that had started what has been called the biggest fitness movement ever. It's not every day that you get to chat with the CEO of a major company who had made such an impact on the industry. So he talks about how kind of the call went off at the start, and he was talking about the pandemic, and Greg was just saying stuff about how, things started in China, and he said he was being insensitive, but he's seen how Greg has been in the past, so he wasn't that surprised by that. But then he goes on to say, when one of the gym owners from Minneapolis spoke up, this is what happened. However, when an affiliate owner from Minneapolis was given the chance to speak, she took a turn. She asked Greg Glassman to speak about CrossFit's stance on the current racial tensions in the country and the Black Lives Matter movement. CrossFit had been notably silent on the topic. Greg's opening response was, "I do not mourn George Floyd." He actually repeated that exact line several times. He also denied any notion that racism might exist in some police officers, and he seemed to downplay racism at all. The discussion got increasingly contentious. Greg was self-righteous and confident. The affiliate owner from Minneapolis was well-spoken and defended herself well. Apparently, her facility was mere blocks from where Floyd was killed, and her community was still reeling. And then for the rest of the article, he kind of says how he had to leave the Zoom call early, and then he explains why he has decided to de-affiliate from CrossFit. Now, the reason that I bring that up is because that has been shared a lot as well. So I think it's important for people to understand there's a lot more than just that little tweet that has gone into a lot of affiliates deciding to de-affiliate. The reason I keep up bringing de-affiliation is because hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of gyms have decided to de-affiliate. So they're no longer going to call themselves CrossFit gyms. My gym, CrossFit Darkside, is now going to be called Darkside Athletics. So the reason these gyms are doing that is because, again, CrossFit doesn't do anything for these gyms other than let them use the name and maybe get them out of some legal trouble every now and again. Being an affiliate doesn't do much, at least from the owners that I've spoken with. So the reason so many of these gyms are deciding to no longer affiliate is because before it was really helpful to have CrossFit in your name. People would search on Google, they'd see your gym, and they'd know exactly, oh, I want to do CrossFit, this is a CrossFit gym. So a lot of these gyms were like, it makes sense, it helps us, it helps out our business, helps people find us, this is great, a lot of people like CrossFit, it's all going to be good. But now with, again, all of the things in the past that have happened, and then this thing in particular, it doesn't make sense for these gyms to any longer, one, give Greg Glassman $3,000 every single year, and now seeing all of these statements he's making, they directly affect these businesses who literally, like that guy said, he's been an affiliate owner for 10 years. He has never even spoken to Greg Glassman, so he doesn't agree with everything he's saying. So this is pretty much the only things these gyms can do to say, hey, I don't condone or support what Greg Glassman is saying. So now I think it's very important, if you are someone that goes to a CrossFit gym that does CrossFit, understand that what Greg said does not reflect what your gym owners, the coaches, think. So if you are thinking, oh, I no longer want to do CrossFit, talk to your owners, talk to your coaches and be like, hey, what do you guys think of this? Are you going to continue being a CrossFit gym, or are you going to decide to de-affiliate? Because again, de-affiliating, all that really does for the gym is it takes away the name CrossFit. Nothing else in your gym is probably going to change. Like maybe you won't be able to do the open, but I doubt that a lot of people are going to want to give Greg Glassman $20 just to join this virtual competition, right? And so that has been what is going on with CrossFit. And I think it's so important to explain all of the context as to why people are now being like, I am done with giving this man my money. So now I've tried to keep my opinion out of the video as much as I can. Obviously, I do not agree with anything that Greg has said, and all of the stuff he has done in the past really has hurt CrossFit so much. So I think that it is a good thing that people are no longer trying to be associated with him. I think a lot of people are like, why don't people just vote him out? Vote him out. As far as I know, he is 100% owner of CrossFit. So there's no one that can push him out. He has to leave on his own. And I don't see that happening. I don't really know. And so it's one of those things that it's like, I don't see what CrossFit can do to really salvage this. Now, I do want to bring up CrossFit and Greg Glassman have issued a response. So they put this on their Twitter. So this is what it says. I, CrossFit HQ, and the CrossFit community will not stand for racism. I made a mistake by the words I chose yesterday. My heart is deeply saddened by the pain it has caused. It was a mistake, not racist, but a mistake. Floyd is a hero in the Black community and not just a victim. I should have been sensitive to that, and I wasn't. I apologize for that. I was trying to stick it to the health organization for their invalidated models resulting in needless economy-wrecking, life-wrecking lockdown. And when I saw they were modeling a solution to our racial crisis, I was incredulous, angry, and overly emotional. Involving George Floyd's name in that effort was wrong. It is our hope his murder catalyzes real change, resulting in a level playing field for our Black brothers and sisters. Please hear me when I say we stand by our community to fight for justice. I care about you, our community, and I am here for you. As far as recording this video, this is all they have said. There hasn't really been anything other than that. So again, I hope I was able to explain everything that has gone on and explain the context as to why so many gyms have decided to de-affiliate. But yeah, that's pretty much everything that's been going on so far. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. There's one other thing that I wanted to say. Oh yeah, look up off fam.
Obey the warning signs, and when there are flashing lights or wigwags, don't attempt to cross until they come to a complete stop.